I thought I'd do a little review of this which I got. It's a TomTom Touch. It's a basically one of those fitness sort of watches, monitor type things, fitness trackers. I both like it and there's a lot of things that annoy me about it, and I've had it a couple of weeks now, so I think I'll be able to give you sort of an educated thoughts on it. This isn't going to be one of those videos where I talk about all the features and how it matches up with other fitness trackers, because I don't have another fitness tracker, but it will be quite an honest thing about the things I like about it and the things that annoy me about it. So I'm just going to switch the camera to the tripod now, and then we'll go through all the functions on it. So this is the TomTom Touch. It's a touch screen. You push this button to sort of activate it. You can see there that I've done sort of, that's the time, and it's saying I've got a star there because I've done enough steps for today. I've got my limit set as, or my goal set as 10,000 a day. I've done 17,325 steps. So you can scroll up and down like this. So far I've burnt 2,323 calories today. I was on a 6-hour shift. You can see this collect thumbprint really easily. On an 8-hour shift I've done more. I've done 8.22 miles today. On a typical day at work I do 8+ miles. I'm on my feet a lot. That's how many hours I've actually been active today, which is 4 hours and 56 minutes, like not at rest. That's the sleep calculator. It resets at 4 o'clock, I think it is each day. It resets at that time apparently, so if you're somebody who sleeps in early, sort of because of like working a night shift or whatever, it takes that into account. So sleep tracking is quite good because I can tell I don't get enough. What else is there? This is the sports mode. You activate this and it's designed so it tracks your heartbeat more regularly sort of while you're doing a workout, so it gets a better calorie burned estimate than you would with just a step counter on. This is the body fat percentage. I like this. Basically you hold your finger down on here, it will do a circuit on here, and what it will do is calculate your body fat percentage and muscle percentage of your upper body. It runs a current around obviously through my left arm down to my finger. That's one of the reasons I got this band, because it's one of the only fitness trackers on the market that can do it. Most bands can't, and that's something I'm sort of more interested in. You obviously get scales that do it, but they do lower body fat unless you get a really complicated set of scales, sort of legs and belly. This does mostly upper chest and arms. So I can use that to try and lose fat percentage without losing muscle and track that quite accurately as I go along. So that's one of the very good things about this. This is the heart rate. This seems to always take a while to actually tell you what you're doing. I have all day heart rate monitoring turned off because basically it uses up a lot more battery, so you only get, you see there, it'll probably take a second to adjust, but my resting heart rate's around 50 to 60 beats per minute. At the moment it thinks I'm on about 40. Oh, there we go, it's going up now. If you have all day heart rate monitoring on, that bit's more accurate, but I don't, simply because it uses up too much battery. I mean, I charge it every day when I have a shower, sort of in the evening when I get home from work, but I still like the battery to be as, conserved as possible. It's going up close to my actual natural 60 BPM. So I find that useful to have on for the first week you probably have this, see what your resting heart rate is throughout the day. When you're actually doing the sort of gym mode on it, your sort of activity tracker, sort of fitness tracker bit, that will give you a more accurate sort of heart rate for a short period, which I find is more interesting to see what you've got your sort of heart rate up to. So what do I like about this? Obviously all the actual functions. This actual unit is very good. What I don't like is the band. That flares my eczema up because it's obviously some sort of cheap rubber with some horrible vulcanized chemical on it that does that. I've had an Overwatch strap that does that, but I'll mention that in another part of the video. The strap itself, this bit I've had to glue on because it's very flimsy. It can easily fall out. You can see there, if that falls out, your watch strap's had it, you have to buy a new one. And they charge about 40 quid for these straps, which is not good considering it connects just with like these two little pins underneath, which I can't really show you, and it's awkward always to reconnect. There we go. It pushes through basically and closes the thing. But yeah, this thing, for a 40 quid strap, this is just terrible. I mean, when you buy the band for about 70 to 100 quid, the actual fitness tracker, obviously a lot of that is the price of buying a band, but some of the band's already starting to perish, the rubber there. In all honesty, if this band doesn't last a year, I'm just going to take this back and get a refund on it, because 40 quid for a watch strap, I mean, come on. What I'll also talk about now is some of the tracking things that don't work quite so well on it. Now, apologies for low camera angle, but I'm trying to get this in frame. So my problem with it is is that if you're walking along and doing this with your arm as you're walking, you know, as it hangs from side to side, then it gets accurate steps. The issue is, if you're actually doing something that's physically intensive, so let's say I've got this kettlebell in this hand, right? And I'm doing an exercise with it, or I'm walking along, or let's just say this is a piece of weight. So right, I've got this in my hands, and I'm using this as an example because in my job I carry a lot of freight around. So I'm walking along, I know it's on the spot, but just bear with me for this. I'm walking along, and because my hands are in a position like this, despite the fact I'm actually doing more work, because I'm both walking and supporting a weight, sometimes it won't count the steps, and that's really irritating. I find a lot of the time at work I have to have it on the gym mode to actually, you know, work out calories burned as an estimate, because if you're walking along and you've got like your arm holding something, you're obviously, as I just said, putting more effort in than just walking without a weight. And that's what's quite irritating, that the step counter sometimes works it out. So I could sometimes walk along with something in my hand like this and the step counter will go up accurately. Other times it won't, and that's quite irritating, obviously, especially if you're somebody who's using your arms a lot at work. Same thing that if I say I had it on this wrist and I was doing something like, most of the time it's alright, say I'm typing using a mouse, sometimes it'll be counting that as steps, and I know you are exerting some energy moving a computer mouse around, but sometimes it thinks you're doing like 10 steps or something like that, so that's one of the not very good things about this. The other thing I hate is the app this uses. The app it uses is awful. Well, I'll try and explain that. Basically, the computer side is very good. If I plug this into my computer to charge it, which you'll see in the video, that's very good. You get a very good thing, and I'll put that up on the screen as I'm talking about it, a thing that gives you all the information about like your workouts today, what your body fat percentage is, steps done today, sleep tracker, then you can click on the things and get graphs up. That's really good, I really like that. What I don't like about this is the actual TomTom app for your smartphone, either the Android version or the iPhone version. Basically, the problem with the app is, and lots of people are reporting this, it desyncs with your thing constantly, or it just won't log on for some people, and the amount of negative reviews the actual app are sort of really, really high, but luckily you don't need that app, you can just sync it with the computer, which is what I'm basically doing. I've uninstalled it from my phone, I can use that space for something else, and get a lot better use out of it. So yeah, as I said, the problem is with this, if I'm doing an exercise, like if I'm doing something like that, then I'll have it on gym mode. It's absolutely fine. If I'm using this at work, I'm carrying freight around, I'm obviously using up calories, but sometimes it doesn't think I'm taking steps because I've got an arm, say I'm holding an object, walking around with it. Sometimes if my arm swings around enough like that, it will count it as a step. If I'm keeping it really sort of secure and moving it, sometimes it won't. So that's the problem with this thing, that it simply doesn't recognise everything that you're doing. So my thoughts are on this, that basically it's a very good fitness tracker, the actual tracker itself, but the actual wristband for it is bad because I said if you've got sensitive skin it will set that off. It's 40 quid for a really flimsy watch strap basically, and you know, there's lots of irritating things with the actual app support for it. But it's one of the only trackers on the market that does body fat percentage and muscle percentage, which is basically what I want from a fitness tracker. The other irritating thing I don't like about this is I put this on to monitor my sleep because I don't sleep well enough. But sometimes you'll move your arm in bed and it just lights up, and it's a really bright light on this in the dark. I'll demonstrate that to you now because this is quite funny. Right, I've got my computer monitor on over there, which is where you can see the glowing blue light from, but hopefully, if I do that, you can see that that's quite bright. If the room was pitch black, that would go vroom, like having a torch on. It's not as bright as a torch, but if you're in bed trying to sleep, you move your arm slightly and this goes vroom and lights up because it thinks you're trying to do something. That's really irritating when you're trying to sleep. But apart from that, as I said, my thoughts on this are, the tracker itself is very good. The TomTom My Sports website is very good when you sync it actually with your computer via USB. It's not good on the mobile phone support side of it, and the strap is just awful. So I think if you get this for about 70 quid on Amazon, it's probably worth it. But as I said again, there's just a lot of things I don't like with the strap. I would much prefer this rather than this weird buckle thing, sort of clip buckle, if you could get this with an actual sort of normal watch strap, either in stainless steel or sort of leather or whatever else, or a rubber that doesn't irritate your skin, where you can just buckle it up like a normal watch. It will sit on there nice and tight, and it won't cause any problems. Another thing of this is you might want to try and get the large size if you're a bloke, because I find when I'm actually at work, not so much when I'm just out and about doing other stuff, I like to have a proper wristwatch there, which means I have to move this further up my wrist and it gets tight. I can have it on my right wrist, but when it's on my right wrist that's a bit more muscular, so then it again feels a bit too tight with a small band. But a lot of places don't stock the actual thing in the large band. You have to buy large bands separately for 40 quid, which is a rip-off. So yeah, as I said, this isn't my actual sort of review of how does it compare with other fitness trackers. This is just kind of some of the things you ought to know before buying one, before maybe saying I want to get a Garmin or I want to get a Fitbit or whatever else, rather than saying I don't like, you know. So there you go, hopefully that's useful for some people thinking about buying this.